Thank you so much for being here today, and I am pulling up my slides for you right now. They should be there in 1 second. Um, and while we get ready, I would just like to thank everyone for being here. And um, please tell me in the chat how you feel about early childhood education. I know that it is not always the highest number of students that you have, but it is a wide degree of federal indicators. So tell me just in the chat, I feel okay. I love the little kids. This is not my favorite thing, and I sure would like for you guys to tell me what I need to do with no further ado. So anything like that, just let me know what you think.
Jenny, I know you may not be able to see the chat as you're getting ready to share your screen, but a lot of love for early childhood right now. Passions, definitely a lot of love. So it's just interest in this session.
Great.
Favorite place to be? Great. Keep your conversation going in the chat. Love the little ones. Lots of hearts, Jenny.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Um, Forgive me while I find the appropriate PowerPoint. I swear it was here and now everything looks different. I actually took over control. Poor Lisa. She was like, I need to have a little bit of control over this. All right. Oh, and I hear somebody on mute.
Audio. Please mute. There we go.
All right. Okay. How about now? Can you see it now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. It is on its way. Oh, forgive me, y'all. We are already behind schedule. So we will begin. Robert Hill, are you here?
I am, Jenny.
Wonderful. This is Robert Hill. While I pull up my slides, he will begin so that there is no waiting. And Robert's going to tell us about the Deaf Blind Project for a few minutes.
Everyone, and Jenny, as Jenny said, early childhood may be the small number that you work with. Well, I'm going to follow that very quickly with our deaf-blind population or our dual sensory loss. And you will notice I am not on the agenda, so I've kind of hijacked minutes this morning to let you know about an important date that's coming up that you may not be familiar with. But every year, kind of paralleling the state child count, we do a deaf-blind census. And in years past, what that's looked like is a letter will come out from OSIS, usually with a letter from OSEP as well, just kind of doing a brief 1 or 2 paragraphs of what the Deaf-Blind Project is, and then telling you the process of how we identify or at least count those students in your district. And I've done this long enough that some questions come up, so I'm just going to take about 90 seconds to anticipate what some of the questions will be. Many districts will say, well, we don't have any students who are deaf-blind. That's probably the worst label that we can put on a group of kids because everyone kind of has an image of what deaf-blindness is. And unfortunately, that is usually Helen Keller, somebody who's completely deaf and completely blind, which really is not our population at all in our state. And so that kind of is confusing, but what makes it even more confusing is students qualify for the deaf-blind census, which is an OSEP process, even if they do not, even if they are not identified as a student who is deaf-blind on an IEP. So I'm going to let that sink in for a second. So districts often say, well, we don't have any kids that have deaf-blindness on their IEP, and so they will turn in 0. Well, our process is a little bit different, and to give you an example, through the Department of Education, there are currently identified about 15 students who are deafblind, but we have about 175 kids in the state on the census. So clearly there's a disconnect there. And what that is for the most part is a student with a hearing or vision loss and some degree of hearing or vision loss, thus the dual sensory. But it may not be enough of the secondary to qualify for deafblindness, but they still would qualify to receive services from the Deafblind Project. And that's probably the easiest way I can explain it. And then what we'll do is we'll put my contact information in the chat where you can reach out to me and ask more questions. It's kind of like when in doubt, we like to be invited to kind of see if the student does qualify for our deafblind services. And that brings me to the question of what is our deafblind services? We're a technical assistance grant funded position from the OSEP in a partnership with the Office of Special Education here in South Carolina and the South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind. And we do not do assessments on specific children, but we do provide that technical assistance on maybe pointing in the direction, providing resources. In some cases, that can be assistive technology, training. We also have some funding that we can fund district personnel to attend state, regional, or national training around specific areas of students with a dual sensory loss. So that's it in a nutshell. Certainly there's a lot more, and this is my passion, so I would love to share this with you, but since I'm hijacking this agenda, I don't want to take any more time other than to say this. This year, we're hoping our deafblind census that we have to identify students that are physically in your district as of December 1. And like I said in the past, a letter would go out, and often I would call districts and say, hey, this is Robert. I'm verifying that little Johnny is still in your district, and you would give me some feedback. We're hoping to do an email blast system this year that's going to be encrypted in a secured system that's going to go right into our database and then upload immediately to OSEP. So we're excited about the new technology, and because it's new technology and it's 2020, I'm scared to death. So in the next month or so, you will be getting an email kind of explaining what the process is, but basically you will identify a point of contact in your district. Currently, it's the SPED directors in every district, but if you want to reassign that, just let me know. And then somebody will go into your system and say, yes, that student is still here, or they've migrated up to the high school from the middle school. And there's some specific questions around where they are physically receiving services and any changes in their hearing and or vision. So I just wanted to share that with you this morning. So thank you for your time, and thank you for letting me share. And again, we'll put my email in the chat box so you can reach out to me directly. And once COVID is over, I look forward to coming out and providing that technical assistance in your districts. So thank you for your time. And Jenny, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thanks, Robert.
Thank you. Thank you today to explain that, and we'll get your email shared as well. Oops-a-daisy. Okay, you guys can see my screen now, but it's not moving, is it? Oh my. How about now? Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, so why do we even talk about preschool? It is young children, and why don't we just wait for first grade to kick in when they're required to be at school? Well, aside from everything that we know about brain development, our brains grow so fast within the first 5 years of life that if we wait until kids get to school, we know that we'd miss so much time. And I heard all of the love that y'all have for early childhood, so you already know that, but it's worth repeating sometimes. Additionally, there are federal and state, both regulatory and non-regulatory guidance around early childhood. It refers to the least restrictive environment, which is very exciting in the early childhood sector because early childhood is more similar to post-secondary when you think about it than it is to compulsory education. What I mean by that is that there are a number of different environments and sectors that children have a right to be included in. This means that they need to be supported appropriately in them. And what that means is that our partnership obligations with other early childhood partners are big in the younger years. That's very exciting. And so as a part of y'all, as you get your sea legs under you in your new role as special education directors, we have all of those early childhood partners are here today to speak with you, offer um, a state level contact so that as you partner more closely to get your least restrictive environment, your indicator 6 information um, structure, you've got a contact if you need one in the early childhood environment. So we know that we need to have free appropriate public education in the 6-19 years, and we know that we have a continuum of service delivery environments. What we mean by that is that we don't offer half a day of special education services in a self-contained classroom, and that's all we offer for our young children ages 3, 4, and 5, not yet kindergarten. We know that we need to offer a variety of special education service delivery environments. And to do that, we need to have a variety of partners. We also know that we need an IEP in place by the child's third birthday. This is indicator 12. I know that everyone is new to their role. However, I also know that you know about early childhood. So forgive me if this is repetition. However, our Part C lead agency recently shifted, and the policies and procedures that govern the birth to 3 special education service lead agency have shifted as well. What happens when those policies and procedures shift is that now our Part C has 25% more children that transition from Part C to Part B 619. Statewide, that is a big number in 1 year. But when we look at our districts, we need to prepare for more children being presumptively or potentially eligible. So when children transition, there are different eligibility requirements between Part C and Part B 619. However, these children didn't exit Part C, so we need to make sure that we've got our transition meetings, and if they are eligible, their IEP in place by their third birthday. This indicator is indicator 12, and it is an all or nothing compliance indicator. So if even one child in the entire state does not have their IEP in place birthday and they were eligible, that means that we're out of compliance, out of state, because every child's civil rights matter. And so that's very important. We have some non-regulatory guidance, position papers from the federal government. This includes position papers about inclusion, developmentally appropriate practice, and supports for dual language learners and homeless students in early childhood education sectors. And then we will get into our resources and partners, and we have a number of those. If at any point throughout the day you feel overwhelmed or concerned or you miss something, you have the Early Childhood Special Education Services email that was distributed at Fall Leadership. And it's also later in this slide. You can also post things in the chat. So consider what questions you have based on what you know you're required to do from the feds around early childhood. As you have questions come up, please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. Lisa, there's nothing just yet. I heard a little ding.
No, not just
Okay.
yet. We're watching it. We've posted Robert's information in the Edmodo community, but as you put your questions and comments, I'll be sure to share them with Jenny and her guests.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right. Now we will begin with Dr. Quincy Moore, who is the director of the Office of Early Learning and Literacy. We are actually running a little bit ahead of schedule. So if you need to refresh your coffee, please feel free to do so. And we will go ahead and get started on this in about 2 minutes when she joins in. If she's not here, I will introduce the CERDIP legislation and guidelines. It is very exciting.
All right, 2-minute movement, breathing break. Thanks, Jenny.
Thank you. We know in early childhood we need to get the wiggles out, so. All right, my clock says it's 10:20. And so with that, I kind of fast forwarded because I wanted y'all to have a moment or two to check out this infographic that we have here. This is a beautiful orientation to the sectors and the funding streams that partner preschool education in South Carolina. What this means is that these are all potential partners where young children can be included. Of course, we have ourselves, IDEA Part B, that's Section 619 is our early childhood group, ages 3, 4, 5, not yet kindergarten. There are Title I programs, there's local school district funding, there's EIA funding, there's CERDIP program funding, there's Head Start, and that is federal to local. And then we also have state funded 4K programs that come from First Steps. These are publicly funded private 4K programs. And then we have CCDBG programs. It, this is federal funds that flow through DSS for their Division of Early Care and Education programs. These are licensed child care programs. So I wanted that to sit up because it really is interesting to see how these programs go both to child care settings, but also to our public school systems and fund some programs. Um, it Quincy Moore, whenever you come in, if I don't see you, please do feel free to just chime right in. Just let me know you're here and take on over. Un- until then, we will go back so that everyone can see. Whoops, Daisy. So that everyone can see the members of the Office of Early Learning and Literacy and the CERDIP team in particular. The team lead is Wendy Burgess. Joy Anthony is an early learning specialist. Angela Compton and Herc Huggins, as well as Lynn Kuykendall, are also early learning specialists. Jamie Sanders coordinates the program. Amy Smith is a specialist. Kim Spigner and Taylor Seal does data. So if you have questions around CERDIP, these are the folks to look up. We will describe a little bit more as we go, but here you can see, I'm sorry, and you guys would tell me if you couldn't see my slides, right? I knew it.
You're good enough, Jenny. We can see it.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, so here you can see the SC, the CERDIP. It's Child Early Reading Development Program is what that acronym stands for. You can see the program placements in the districts. There's a key down at the bottom, but things expand. CERDIP has a number of resources that are also very exciting to look at because there's an approved curriculum list. There's these programs, their curriculum is all aligned with the early learning standards. And so what that does is it provides some continuity for the quality of the 4K program that children can access. So CERDIP is our early reading development education program, and so it is meant to offer opportunity to at-risk 4-year-olds to get ready for kindergarten. Students participate in full days. There are time requirements, 180 days of instructional program so that they're ready to enter kindergarten. CERDIP is a full-time program, so you can't do 4 half days a week. You participate in the full program. From a special education perspective, it is possible that a speech language pathologist could go into the CERDIP classroom and serve a child who participates in that classroom, or a child might go to the SLP's office down the hallway for services. Those sorts of things certainly happen, but the regularly scheduled program for a child enrolled in a CERDIP class is a 5-day-a-week, 6.5 hours a day, 180 days of instruction. And this is designed to make sure that everybody has enough time to get ready for kindergarten. So as of July 2013, the funding was expanded for eligible children residing in school districts that have a poverty index of 70% or greater. So that is a little bit freeing, and we have more opportunities as a result. Eligible public schools provide 4K services to children living within the participating CERDIP districts. Eligibility, you have to be on or before September 1st. The way this requirement interacts with special education is that the child has to be eligible for the CERDIP program to be enrolled there as the child's LRE. What I mean by that is that if the child turns 4 on Halloween, CERDIP isn't their least restrictive environment because they are not otherwise eligible for that program. Are there any questions about that? Okay. The child must meet one of the risk criteria. So either family income is 185% or less of the federal poverty threshold, or they're eligible for Medicaid. And by July 1st, at least 75% of eligible children are projected to be enrolled in public or privately funded CERDIP classrooms, Head Start, or ABC Child Care Program, with student scores below percentile on the Dial 4. So we do have some criteria for participating in the CERDIP programs. Classrooms will maintain with at least 10 4-year-old children, but no more than 20 4-year-old children. So there are really distinct licensing regulations around how many children are in the classroom, and the adult to child ratio has to be 1 to 10. Now, what that means is that if a qualified caregiver or an instructional assistant, it can't just be a volunteer, but if a qualified caregiver or instructional assistant or an SLP can go into the classroom with an additional child, um, it is okay, except that we have to also be in compliance with our fire regulations, with the number of space per child, all of those things. There, we can't pack a room so full of adults and children that we can't escape if there's a safety threat in the building. And those are the last two bullets there. Uh, all providers must comply with the anti-discrimination requirements, and so I'll let you read through this bullet point another time, but we need to make sure that everybody has access. And here is more about IDEA. So, um, does anybody partner well with their CERDEP classes in your districts to use that as a least restrictive environment for young children with disabilities? Does anybody have any specific questions about this? Or does anybody do it really well and they'd like to share something that's going really well?
So far, everyone's just listening in, Jenny, getting all the information.
All right, good stuff. All right, so we have some OELL, some CERDEP related resources. This was developed by First Steps and our own Office of Early Learning and Literacy, and I think this is just beautiful. This is a brochure that outlines the profile of a ready kindergartner. So in preschool, there are a number of skills that we want to make sure, skills and competencies that we want to make sure our young children are able to access and utilize so they come to school ready to participate and ready to learn the kindergarten standards. It's when you begin kindergarten, this is the only time that we really kind of expect folks to come in knowing a little bit before they actually get their instruction. And so while not everybody does come into kindergarten with skills that they can access and apply, we hope that these are our 4K qualities that align with the profile of a ready kindergartner. We have them in English and Spanish. They are very much aligned with the South Carolina Early Learning Standards. These standards are glorious, and there is an online training center that's free that has 4 C's and a D training. I'm sorry, they changed the name. It's SC Endeavors. They offer CEUs for completion of this online learning. So you can find that, and I'll be sure that it is listed in the clickable link in the Edmodo Society in, in the Edmodo area as well. But the early learning standards have a variety of domains where we want our children to have a variety of skills. It's a birth through kindergarten um, document, and so there's a developmental trajectory within that. It's important to note too that this document, it also includes resources for dual language learners and for students with disabilities. So this was something that was developed by a number of partners across sectors, and it should guide any curriculum choices that come in early learning and other resources as well. Another resource that you will hear more about later that was developed in partnership with OELL and our Parent Training Information Center is Text to Read. Text to Read sends out a text with low or no cost language and literacy activities for parents to do with young children once a week. The texts come out on Friday afternoons usually, and they are aligned with both the early learning standards and built from the kindergarten readiness assessment. They also have, I believe it's monthly child development monitoring texts where parents can kind of see what children their child's age typically do, see if their child is utilizing those skills, and then if not, they can complete an online ASQ screener. The ASQ stands for Ages and Stages Questionnaire. When they complete this screener, a parent navigator from our Parent Training Information Center called Family Connections can reach out to them, explain the results, and go ahead and navigate them through child find screening at districts and what they might expect should their child need an evaluation. If the child does not need an evaluation, the Ages and Stages questionnaire also has activities that can get them from where they are to where we'd like to see them. So these things are really resources for families to help engage and support their children as we get ready for kindergarten. There is also, and Kristen Douglas is on this call. I don't want to put her on the spot, but she had a major leadership role in developing this document, or I'm sorry, this website with our Office of Early Learning and Literacy. And there is an online social emotional learning pre-K and kindergarten lesson portal. Gosh, maybe portal's not the right word, but there is a website, so you can find it right there. Kristen, is that you I hear?
That's me that you hear, Jenny, and you're absolutely right. It is a portal, and there are 4K, 5K lessons to get you started. There are 20 days of lessons, as a matter of fact, as well as lessons all the way up through middle school and high school. The Office of Early Learning and Literacy, and if Quincy's on the call, Quincy, jump right in. The Office of Early Learning and Literacy, together with OSIS, created 20 days of lesson plans for our grade bands, starting with 4K, 5K, grades 1 and 2, grades 3 and 4, grades 5 and 6. And they have everything that you need. They are linked at the sel.ed.sc.gov website, and they also have a link there for EverFi lessons, which is a free website that has worked very closely with the department on these SEL lessons for the middle school and the high school curriculum as well. Plus, there are a load of other fantastic social emotional learning supports there on that web portal as well. And I will throw the link in the chat so that you can access that at your leisure.
Thank you, Kristen. I am
Hey,
very
Jenny?
excited. Yes.
Some of the brochures that you have shown, are those going to be made available in the brochure format, virtual brochure format, or a location that our directors can pull those down?
Yes, ma'am. And you know what? I believe some of them are available. They can be mailed to districts in print form. So I will follow up on that in case you would like to have those resources in hard copy as well. If they're able to be sent, I will certainly get those to you. Okay, and we have a bit more on our social emotional learning. And Kristen, you chime in anytime, but you see that there are these connected puzzle pieces, including self-awareness, management, responsible decision-making, relationship skills, and social awareness. These pieces are all in need of support and sometimes explicit instruction on how to engage in those different varieties and different components of social emotional learning. So, Kristen, did you have anything you'd like to add there?
Absolutely, Jenny, thanks. Again, at sel.ed.sc.gov, in that website, if you'd like to learn more about all the 5 competencies, you can go under the Learn More tab and really take a much deeper dive into self-awareness and self-management. There are lots of professional development resources that you could use in your district to share with your teachers, your educators, your administrators as well, to learn a lot more about social emotional learning, there is a webinar on, an introduction to social emotional learning. That's also under the Learn More tab. There are resources for parents and for students as well. Under support professionals, you will find information for your school counselors and others who would need to access that, as well as you have a teacher tab there. And under the teacher tab, you will find all sorts of resources there, ranging from those 20 days of lesson plans for for elementary, middle, and high school, all the way through information regarding the pyramid model, PBIS, behavior and classroom culture and climate, equity issues. So there's lots of resources there. I did, Jenny, throw the website into the chat if you would like to take a look at that. And you will also see that there was a collaborative book study on the book called All Learning is Social and Emotional. And those recorded webinars on the book study are located at the OELL website, I believe, and that is all of that in a nutshell. Jenny, back to you.
Kristen, I'll also upload that website into the Edmodo community for those of you who want to work through that later on. Great website.
Fantastic. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Now, some of you might be wondering, why are we spending so much time on social and emotional learning? When you think about Indicator 6 and how we include young children with developmental delays, communication challenges, disabilities of any sort into the least restrictive environment and or the general education preschool classroom, a lot of times behavior and interacting with others can be a gatekeeping skill. Um, it is very important that we teach everybody, our children with disabilities, but also our young children without disabilities, how to set boundaries and how to get along with others, how to do social problem solving, particularly now in this pandemic time, because social emotional skills and getting along with others, those things really are protective factors. So thank you for letting us tell you all about this. I can get lost on this website. It really is beautiful, and it is aligned with things that we've supported districts in previously and some of the other resources you'll learn about today. So the pyramid model, you heard Kristen describe it. So it's not that we're going to bifurcate things or just give you too much information. It conscious discipline, pyramid, all these things are aligned, and we're really kind of keeping them connected and together as we move forward. And that's something that I think that the agency should be really proud of. So let us know if you have any questions about those things. Professional learning opportunities. So you can find this information on the link in the PowerPoint that is posted in the Edmodo community, but here you can register for one has passed, but you can register for some of the upcoming OELL PLO opportunities and share them with others. If you have any questions, please do put them in the chat, and we will be sure to go ahead and share those with Wendy and Quincy Moore when Quincy comes on. She might be here. I'm sorry if I've presented your slides and you were here. Please just interrupt. Excellent. And here's some contact information for Wendy. Some of you may know her. All right.
Hey, hi Jenny, this is Kathy.
Hey. Welcome, Kathy. Now we have our wonderful Kathy Kovacs from DSS. Kathy, I'll click on the slides for you, so you just tell me when you want to move on.
Okay, so go ahead, next slide. So I thought I would start by talking a little bit about how our division is organized. So we are the Division of Early Care and Education, and we are housed at the Department of Social Services. And the Department of Social Services is a cabinet agency that it's appointed by the governor and with advice of the Senate. And when you think about DSS, they do normal social service activities like adoption, foster care. They do child welfare services and interstate compact on placement of children, in addition to licensing child care centers and residential groups for child care. So we are the Division of Early Care and Education. We are housed under Economic Services. And in Economic Services, you'll see all what we have. And I'm going to briefly kind of describe each area. So we have child care licensing. And child care licensing, they ensure the health and safety of children in child care facilities throughout the state, and they ensure that the laws and regulations that are established are maintained. Then we have ABC Quality, where I'm from, and we're the Quality Rating Improvement System, and that's a voluntary program that sets the standards for high quality standards for children, for programs that children go for childcare. And then there's the voucher program, and the voucher program is where the payments, the money comes from to families that need childcare assistance. And these programs, this childcare assistance is tied to quality. So if a parent qualifies to get services for childcare, they need to pick a ABC Quality program. Next is the CACFP, which is the Child and Adult Care Food Program, and they do reimbursements to eligible child cares and schools, and also for adult care for providing nutritious meals and snacks as a part of their program. Then there's the Center for Child Care Career Development, and this is the Professional Development Center, and they have changed their name, and they are going to shoot me. I can't believe I put the old name. They're SC Endeavors, so they handle all the training. They're the warehouse for where all your training goes to, and now they have a professional development link. Well, they've always had professional development arm, but now they have an education arm, and they will have the career ladder, and they'll establish that criteria for people. And so you'll be able to submit your educational levels and be assigned a career level as part of that system. And then there's the Head Start Collaboration Office. And they're located at the Department of Social Services, but they are, and I'm not going to say a lot about them because I saw Mary Lynn is on the call, and she's the expert for the Head Start collaboration, so I don't want to say anything out of turn. And then we have partners that we fund. We have the Child Care Resource and Referral, who provide TA and training. We have South Carolina Inclusion. I don't know if Heather's on the call, but they support childcare programs with special needs, and they do a lot more other things, do great things. And then there's South Carolina Program for Infant and Toddler Care. Okay, next slide. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about, so we're under the purview of the Office of Child Care, and we are funded by the Child Care Development Block Grant. And this grant was created in 1990 and was amended in 1996, but it's primarily the source of federal funding to states to provide child care assistance for low-income families. And the program, it's funded through a federal to state partnership, and it's designed to provide subsidies to offset the high cost of childcare for low-income working families, including families recovering from public assistance. And there's really like 4 key areas of this grant or this federal rule. A lot of times you'll hear me talking about it in 2 ways. I'll say the block grant, or we'll say CCDF, which is Child Care Development Fund. And so the 4 key areas for this rule is to protect the health and safety of children in childcare, to help parents make informed consumer choices and access information to support child development, to support equal access to stable, high-quality childcare for low-income children, and then finally, to enhance the quality of childcare and better support the workforce. So laws require states to improve the knowledge and skills of the childcare workforce as part of this grant. Let me see. And so at DSS, the Division of Early Care and Education, they're the administrator of this funding. Okay, next slide. All right, so under the CCDF rule, or the Child Care Development Fund rule, there are goals for inclusion in early care and education, and they are to celebrate diversity of all forms and facets of society. Inclusion should be universal, and policies and procedures created that promote inclusive practices. So the Office of Child Care, or the CCDF law, requires that states develop strategies for increasing supply and quality of child care services for children in underserved areas, infants and toddlers, children with disabilities, and children in non-traditional hourly care. Next slide. So I bring up the early learning standards because the money from this rule is funded, and the rule says that part of what we're supposed to do is to inform and teach and uplift the quality of our teachers and people serving children in the workforce. So one of the ways that we've done this is by developing the early learning standards. And here are the principles. I'm sure you have a set and you've seen them. But I think what's exciting about this is federal funding was used in the development of South Carolina early learning standards. And it was a joint collaboration between the Department of Social Services, the division, which is the Division of Early Care and Education, the Department of Ed, and the South Carolina Head Start Collaborative, along with multiple stakeholders in early care and education and elementary education. And so the team that developed these standards, and if you don't have a copy of them, I have copies of them. We can work out how I can get copies of them to you if you need a copy. But they were designed with children with disabilities in mind. And so the indicators were designed, they're the same for all children, regardless of their developmental need. Also, the early learning standards address, they're designed so that children who might not meet or progress in the same way as typically developing children can still be seen in these indicators, because these children still are progressing in their development. So this tool can be used for any child. And then there's strategies in the early learning standards that are applicable to children with disabilities, along with the recommendation of looking at indicators potentially for younger children for next steps for children that may have a disability. Okay, next slide. So now I thought I would, kind of give you an idea of the voucher system and who can receive voucher assistance and what are the key areas for voucher. So these are the priority funding areas for families to seek a voucher. And they are always income eligible, but the key areas have to do with family independence, which is definitely people that are within poverty, people that are transitioning from family independence, so they're no longer needing those services. They're being able to be self-sufficient. They're still a priority for funding. Parents involved in a child protective services, they are a priority. Foster care is a priority, and then children with special needs. And so this is the recipients of child care subsidy still have to meet income eligibility. Next slide.
I'm so sorry, Kathy, would you mind if I chimed in here for a second?
No, go ahead.
Thank you. So directors, what this means is that if there's a 3-year-old and you don't have a 3-year-old classroom that is not a self-contained classroom and the child needs some early intervention services and qualifies for a voucher through the last bullet there or any of the other bullets, you can reach out and access these services to support your indicator 6 data for your youngest children. And as we have these high numbers of children transitioning from Part C to B, this is something to keep in mind. The group that can help you with this in particular is Dr. Heather Googe at South Carolina Inclusion Collaborative, and she is going to be on the call later this afternoon, or, in just a little. So thank you.
And Jenny?
Yes.
I just wanted to let you know Quincy has joined us.
Oh, welcome. I'm so sorry for the mix up, but I'm so glad you're here. We'll let Kathy kind of
Yeah, I don't have much more to go, so I thought I'd keep mine short and sweet. So going back to what Jenny said, to receive the vouchers, the program needs to be a participant in quality. And if you're not a participant at this time, if you will contact me, I'm happy to help you. Right now, we have a little bit of a modified enrollment process, just because of COVID. This list here that you see is the list of the special voucher types that we have right now. So you'll see it's an exciting list. We have special needs is still in here. And then we have, so some of your families might even qualify for some of these other unique type of voucher categories. Okay, so please, let us know if you have any questions. Christy Jeffcoat is the program manager for SC Voucher, and she can help assist you to know whether your families qualify and how to help them get qualified. And I'm happy to provide that information as well. So the next slide. So I thought I would tell you a little bit about ABC Quality. So ABC Quality is the quality rating and improvement system. And like I said earlier, in order for you to serve children that families qualify to receive child care vouchers or child care subsidy, your program has to be a participant in ABC Quality. We are the quality rating and improvement system. So what we do is we have standards established, and we go out into programs and we assess their performances based on their administrative side of the program, along with the process side, or the child and teacher interactions. And then the combination of those two things is what gets a program their quality level. Now, with that being said, our program, our standards are highly focused on the teacher and child interactions, and that's where our scoring is heavily weighted. So I just wanted to kind of mention that. But what ABC Quality does, we do a couple of things. We connect families to quality child care programs, and we have an easily understood rating system, which is A, B, and C. And parents can go to our website to find out what programs in their area are in ABC Quality. We offer coaching, professional development, and resources to the early care and education providers to improve their environments, teaching practices, and to support each child's learning and development. And we do that through our partners, the funding of our partners with that. And then finally, we enable child care providers to become eligible to serve children that are from low income families and have high needs. Okay, next slide, Jenny. All right, so I thought I would talk about some of the things that are going on real quickly within our division. So right now we are providing CARES Act funding to child care providers that are licensed and registered with DSS. We've completed round one of those grants, and in round one, we provided over $21 million of funding to child care programs. And now we've opened up round two. Round two is called COVID. Okay, wait a minute. COVID support grants, and you can go to our website to apply for that there. Qualifications, you have to be a licensed or registered program in South Carolina. And that grant has allocated over $32 million, and the grants are based on the capacity of the program. The amount is based on that. And these funds are designed to either help programs remain open during COVID or to reopen because of COVID. Next, we have provided, go back, Jenny. I have a couple more bullets and I'll be done in a minute.
I'm so sorry.
You're fine. Then we have, we've offered essential worker vouchers. That has ended, but we provided vouchers for over 11,000 children who parents were considered essential workers, and they were the front line people like nurses and doctors and EMS workers and firemen, all those people that were working on the front line when the pandemic started. Those vouchers did not have any income eligibility. Now to additional vouchers that we're offering, and they are called COVID 300 vouchers. We only have a limited amount of vouchers available for those, but those are for any families that are, okay, and I'm going to make sure I say this right because I always mess this up. Any families that their income is 300% above poverty are eligible to receive these vouchers for child care assistance. The cap is at $4,500 right now, and then they're going to approve that $4,500. They're still taking applications. There's a waiting list, and then they will approve more once they evaluate the funding. Our agency is right now in the process of a market rate survey. And this is for all child care programs in South Carolina, excluding Head Start. And I can't remember the other. I don't think we're doing the license exempt category unless they're in ABC Quality. But why this is important is the market rate survey is how it's federally required. We're required to do it. And then two, it's how we determine the reimbursement rates for child care programs. So if your program gets the survey, we ask that you do it. And then finally, ABC Quality has we've completely revised our standards, our assessments, and we completed, I would say about a year and a half ago, the infant and toddler age group. We just completed, as we speak, the preschool and the school age standards. And so what we're doing now is we're going to be working on we've already done validity on our infant and toddler standards, but now we're working on validity for our preschool standards. But we have sought some expert review from in-state reviewers and out-of-state reviewers to look at our standards under 3 categories and just provide suggestions of how we can make them better. But the areas are inclusion, equity, and content. So we have in-state reviewers. Dr. Heather Gouge is one of our in-state expert reviewers, and then we have federal reviewers that are doing the same. So it's exciting and busy times for ABC Quality in the division. Next slide, Jenny. And so we're on Facebook, so please follow us on Facebook. A lot of updates there. You can email abcquality@dss.sc.gov for any questions, or you can contact me directly, which I didn't put that in the slide, Jenny.
That's okay, Kathy. I will send that to everybody. But
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate all your information. So we know about quality and vouchers for young children who might be able to be included in our Division of Early Child Care setting. So thank you so much for your time. Anybody who has questions, please put them in the chat, and we're a little behind, but I think we have a moment. Dr. Moore, you're here. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to say hi super quickly and see if anybody has any questions they've thought of for you, we would love that. And then we'll move on to Miss Lillian Walker and Mary Lynn Diggs.
Jenny, thank you just for the opportunity to speak to this esteemed group. Hopefully you have the PowerPoint. In that PowerPoint includes the folks in my office that really serve the SURDEP side of the Read to Succeed legislation. So you have those listed, you have contact information. More than anything, I think our team lead, Wendy Burgess, wanted to make you aware of just the lots of resources that we have, from social emotional to PLOs to book studies to just the resources. So that's in the PowerPoint. Also, just to give you some definitive requirements for how you become SURDEP. And hopefully, the Palmetto Pre-K website, just want to mention there, we've been working with a grant and Head Start and a number of different agencies to provide kind of a one-stop shop for 4K offerings. That was really just the SURDEP districts, but we are moving this fall into getting non-SURDEP districts information on that website as well. So lots of things there, but I just wanted to, speak to everybody. If you've got questions, put them in the chat. I know Jenny will get them to me, but we'll get your questions answered. But just please know how much we appreciate what you're doing in this pandemic space, and the challenges are unbelievable. So we just appreciate everything that you're doing, and thank you for what you do.
Thank you so much. Any chats that come our way or questions that come our way, we will certainly share. Thank you so much for being here. Mary Lynn Diggs or Miss Lillian Walker, are you available?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Good morning. I hope Lillian is on. If not, I'm just going to be messed up. But anyway, good morning. I'm Mary Lynn Diggs. I'm director of the South Carolina Head Start Collaboration Office. There is a Head Start Collaboration Office in each state and in 2 territories. And the Head Start Collaboration Office is a portal of entry in state government for and on behalf of Head Start. And the question may come up, well, the Head Start Collaboration Office, as you see in Kathy's presentation, is a part of the Division of Early Care and Education at DSS. According to the federal law, and remember Head Start is federal to local, the Collaboration Office must be located in a governmental entity of which the governor has oversight. So in South Carolina, our superintendent is an elected official. Therefore, the Collaboration Office cannot be at the State Department of Education in South Carolina. In many states, they are, but it varies based on the configuration of your state government system. So we wanted you to know about the Head Start Collaboration Office, and this is Head Start Disability Services 101. And at another time, hopefully, you'll get to know more about Head Start globally, what Head Start 101 is. So, and we're going to have Ms. Lillian Walker, who's going to follow me in the opening presentation. And Lillian is the chair of our health network. Our health network is a working group of, and a coalescing group of Head Start managers who focus on health, disabilities, and nutrition. And we always want to share with our partners that according to the performance standards, Head Start is a federal to local program. It is 55 years old. And in the performance standards, those coordinators must be at least baccalaureate staff persons. And we always emphasize that because sometimes that goes unnoticed. Next slide. Okay. So you see the objectives, an overview about the policies and the goals, and we're going to talk about state and federal requirements. And of course, there'll be questions. Next slide. Okay. This is Head Start, Early Head Start overview. And I want you to make an adjustment. You see under in the parentheses under it says Head Start, Early Head Start, Migrant Head Start, American Indian Head Start, and Head Start Child Care partnerships. The Head Start Act is quite often updated, and each time it updates, there is a new iteration. So it started out as Head Start, serving children who were ready to go to school. The summer program that public schools had this summer reflect what Head Start was in 1965. So it focused on children who were getting ready to go to first grade. And then it moved to being for children aged 3 to 5. Then we have Early Head Start, which serves pregnant women and their children up to age 3. And the Office of Head Start has expanded. So you see Head Start in the Administration for Children and Families. So Administration for Children and Families is the funding source for Head Start and for 60 other programs, and child care is one of those programs. And we help low-income children and low-income families prepare to succeed in school by way of local programs. And we promote children's development through comprehensive services. And those comprehensive services include early learning, health, and family well-being. And there are other services that we have not placed on this slide, particularly transportation and social emotional services in particular. And you see that there's a Head Start presence in 45 of the 46 South Carolina counties. And when we say low-income families, Head Start children are children who are 100% of poverty or less. So that's approximately $6,000 for a family of 4. Next slide. Disability services. And we're going to move on to Lillian. She is our point of contact, and this group meets quarterly, and they always encourage partners to meet with them. And she's going to talk about the disability services piece. Please know that in her presentation, she is going to note, and we emphasize that according to the federal law, according to the Head Start Act, and according to the Head Start performance standards, we are required to have agreements in place. And we'd like to thank Jenny May just before Christmas break in 2017, South Carolina updated and signed its agreement with the State Department of Education, with our American Indian programs, and with our migrant programs. It's a state level agreement. However, the Head Start Act requires, so we encourage our school districts to know that school districts and Head Start programs are expected to have a working agreement that includes the state level agreement, but is specific to your service area. And Head Start, again, is federal, and they are monitored federally, and they can be out of compliance if they do not have an agreement with you. So I know that if you do not have one, please be a partner with your local Head Start health manager who reaches out to every school district. And I'll turn it over to Lillian Walker, who is the chair of our Head Start Health Network.
Thank you, Mary Lynn. I hope everyone can hear me. Just to talk a little bit about the disability services and our Head Start program performance standards reflect best practices and the latest research on early childhood development and brain science. These standards give grantees, whether it is Head Start, Early Head Start, Migrant Head Start, American Indian Head Start, or our newest baby, which is our early child care partnerships, the flexibility in achieving child and family goals. So just to start off with the first slide, which is a little bit telling you that we must actively recruit and locate children with disabilities, other vulnerable children and homeless children, and children in foster care. Part of our selection criteria also includes the following children that are listed up above in the first standard of 1302.13. I highlighted screening, and screening will probably come on later on when we talk a little bit about coordination with the IDA local agency to implement the services that we need for our children. So, but just to let you know that in the process of us, once we enrolled our children, that these children have to be screened within 45 calendar days for speech, language, hearing, developmental delay, and social emotional. Within 30 days, we have to find them a medical home, and within 90 days, they have to have a physical and dental, just to give you a little example of what our comprehensive services look like. Next slide, please. Slide 2 just talks a little bit about, a lot of school districts ask us when we meet with them, the 10%. Our Head Start, our federal guidelines say that we must ensure 10%, a lot of opportunities of our funded enrollment to children with disabilities. A program that has 200 children, many of those children must be eligible for services under IDA, whether it's under if it's an early Head Start or IFSP, or regular Head Start, or the various Head Starts IEP. And the second slide just reiterates for the federal guidelines that we must enroll those children in order to deliver in the least restrictive possible environment, that they fully participate in all program activities. Next slide, please. Whether a child is eligible for special education and related services or early intervention services, as appropriate with IDA. So once a child is eligible, recruited, selected, enrolled, and attends a program, there's some things that we need to do. Okay. I think it's a slide ahead. Okay, so
I'm
now we're
sorry.
talking about a program must coordinate with local agencies. I think this is the most intricate part that every new leadership should understand when it comes to special services with Head Start. When you having the memorandum agreement meetings, that a program must coordinate. It's not an option. We must coordinate with local agencies responsible for implementing IDA, which would be our Part B and Part C agencies, just through through participation in local agency child efforts. And a keen example is, if sometimes in our memorandums, some school districts will agree to do the screenings for us and use those as child find efforts, just to ensure that they have the highest quality screenings, and that if these children are need eligible or need further assessment, that they already started with the transition part of it. So to talk about a program must work on to develop interagency agreements, we must have one at the end of the year. One of the things that is important that we have to have submitted to the Office of Head Start is called our Program Information Report. In the Program Information Report, the number one question asked is, did you have agreements with all of your school districts that you work with? Do you have a Part C, which is BabyNet agreement with BabyNet? So those are important items that they ask us, because if you haven't met the 10%, and those are questions that may affect why you haven't met your 10% if you don't have agreements with all the schools. So when we talk about coordination and collaboration with the local agencies, we talk about, a program must participate in the development of the IFSP or IEP, requested by the child's parent, and in the implementation of the IFSP or IEP. At a minimum, the program must offer us to provide the relevant information from our screenings and assessments and observations to the team developing a child's IFSP or IEP, to participate in all of the meetings, whether it's to develop or review an IEP or IFSP for a child being considered for Head Start enrollment, or a currently enrolled child, or a child transitioning from the program. And a program must retain a copy of the IEP or IFSP for any child enrolled in the Head Start for the time of the child that is in the program, consistent with the IDA requirements. When we talk about potential partnerships, IDA, we have so many partners, but when you speak about disabilities, we mostly try to have our partnerships with our local education agencies, our BabyNet, and other early intervention agencies, or anybody that works with children with special needs. So here are just a few resources for where we got some of my information is. Anytime you want to go look at Head Start, the Early Childhood Learning and Knowledge Center, if you have any questions that our Head Start or disability coordinators, because every program has a disability coordinator, so they should be able to give you any guidance. But if you feel like you need further guidance, then the Early Childhood Learning and Knowledge Center will be would be a resource to you. Most of our information comes straight from our Head Start performance standards, and as well as our Head Start Act. Do we have any questions?
Lillian, can you hear me? I want everybody to know too. We pointed out that we have a presence. This is Mary Lynn again. We have a presence in 45 of the 46 counties, but our new partners on the call may be interested in knowing that 4 school districts are Head Start grantees. And Head Start grantees include community action agencies, which served as one of the original places. And by the way, Head Start was in public schools its first year, and the federal government moved it to community-based organizations, specifically community action agencies, in 1966. But in South Carolina at present, there are 4 school districts serving as Head Start grantees. There is the Aiken School District is a new partner as of 2 months ago. So children in Aiken and Barnwell counties are served by way of Aiken School District. Charleston County School District is a Head Start, an early Head Start grantee. Berkeley School District is a grantee, and Dorchester partners with Berkeley for children to receive services there. And Lancaster School District is a Head Start grantee serving early Head Start and Head Start. So there are 6 counties covered. Okay.
Thank you. We really appreciate your time and partnership. Head Start is the lab school, and they have requirements of their own management structure to include young children with disabilities. So this is an Indicator 6 partner if we've ever had one. Thank you so much. Any questions that come in the chat, we'll be sure to pass on. Now we have Heather Blackwell to discuss Part C transitions for us. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Heather, and I'm a regional coordinator for BabyNet. I work mainly in the upstate. So let me just go over a little bit about what BabyNet is, how we're here. One thing that really helps us be stable is that we are part of the IDEA law. So just like the preschool is 619, we have our own Part C. We're not in Part B, but we're Part C. So basically, this is just a huge view of the IDEA laws. Great, wonderful. We have a free and appropriate education for children. But what was happening was kids were rolling up to kindergarten, 5 years old, and they had a lot of delays and things that were not being met. So that's where in comes Part C and Part B 619 to try to meet those needs earlier. So kids who have any sort of delay right from birth all the way up until 3 years old, they are served by Part C. So the intention is a lot of kids, if they get that help early on, hopefully they won't even need any sort of special services by the time they get to preschool. But if they do, of course, Part B is there for them. But it just kind of gives a basis for kids to get caught up and not have to wait so long. So we are Part C of that. In South Carolina, this kind of got rolling in 1991. So we've been around for a while, and of course it's changed a lot through that time. To qualify for BabyNet, one is there is no financial criteria to get BabyNet at all. So it doesn't matter what your income is. A lot of parents I've heard say before, well, we feel bad because, you know, we should leave this for children who really need it. No, you know, this is your tax dollars. It doesn't matter what income bracket you're in. It's really hard to pay for a child who might need 2 or 3 therapies a week that cost $200 each. We have no limit. It doesn't matter your poverty level at all. Anyone can come in. The only eligibility criteria falls under developmental delay and then established risk condition. So established risk would be things like Down syndrome, spina bifida. That's what people kind of think of as the bigger categories, but also just low birth weight. So if a child is, you know, born at 1,500 grams, then they can come in. If they're born under 28 weeks, we'll just help them get to age. And then if they need to stay in further, you know, after they've turned 2, they can stay until they're 3 as well. And then developmental delay, that's where we see the most children coming in. So these are just the late talkers, the late walkers. The parent feels like something's a little off. Anyone can make a referral to us. So we really want pediatricians to make referrals to us, but that doesn't always happen. If you're in a 5-minute checkup with a pediatrician, it's really hard for them to catch everything that's going on. So child care providers are huge for this. A lot of early Head Starts, we get a lot. We refer to them, but they refer to us as well. Community referrals, it really can come from anyone. You know, a grandma can make a referral, a babysitter, of course, a parent. So we just look for the child to have a 25% in 2 areas or a 40% delay in 1 area in order to get into the program. So then once they're into the program, our services are divided up. They come in to DHHS, that's the agency that houses us. So we would actually do an intake appointment with them it takes about an hour to see if they have those levels of delay. And then through there, we are contracted with Department of Disabilities and Special Needs and School for Deaf and Blind. So those are the ones who are going to really get into the homes and do the services. So they're responsible for service coordination. They do family training with the children, and then they refer out to any other services that the child might need. There are 16 services that BabyNet provides, and not just BabyNet. This is 16 Part C services that we have to provide. So that's a really nice thing for families too. If we have military families or just any families that have to move a lot, they can pick right up, go to the next state, and know that there's a similar program with similar services. Of course, they have to go through their intake processes, but that's a very nice stability about Part C, is that it's the same from state to state to a certain extent. Everything is put onto an IFSP. So this is very comparable to an IEP. This is just the younger version of that. My favorite thing about the IFSP is that a lot of things can be family-based. So we really are trying to move away from having goals like Johnny will stack 6 blocks, 4 out of 5 times for 6 hours. A lot of those goals don't really help the family. When you leave that visit and the mom still, well, he hasn't eaten his last 2 meals, but he knows how to stack those blocks, that doesn't really add up. So in the IFSP, we can actually have goals about maybe mom getting a job or finding resources, finding a support group, just whatever the family really needs. And whatever's on the IFSP will be paid for. There's no cost to the families. That doesn't mean there's no cost, but we will use whatever the family has as a resource. So if they would like to use their private insurance, we can use that. If they have Medicaid, we use Medicaid first for these services. But if not, we have Part C funds, and it will just come straight out of that. Another big pillar of Part C is that all the services are provided in the natural environment. So for children this young, in most cases, it's going to be better for them to learn everything they need to learn at home, where it's more natural. If a child is learning, how to climb, it's a lot more motivating to go sit up on the couch with your siblings than it is to go up, a wooden ramp at a PT clinic. Of course, in some areas of the state, we don't have a lot of providers who can go out. So there are a few exceptions where we can provide clinic services, but everything is mostly in the home. One big part of natural environment is it's not just the location of where it is. So to me, it's very unnatural for a lady that you've never met before to come sit down on the middle of your floor and play with you. So we're trying to move everyone in more of a direction of where you're coaching the parent. So the interventionist might be sitting on the couch and the parent is working with the child and actually doing the interactions that a parent would do with their child. So Part C has to have some interagency connections, and that's something you've heard from the other presenters as well. We have to have these agreements with everyone. We get referrals from them, we refer out to them, and we rely very heavily on our partnerships like this. It feels like a lot of times everyone's doing the same work, so we need to know, be on the same page. So one of our very important collaborations is with Part B. So we have to transition the child from BabyNet to Part B. This is very important because a lot of the kids that we have, if they would qualify for our services, they would qualify for Part B. And it can be hard for the parents to kind of start all over. They've gone through all these evaluations, all these assessments, and then for us to say, oh yeah, your child's turning 3, start from scratch. Start answering those questions about your family. We can help with the transition, and we have to help with the transition. So we start out with a notification, and this goes just through our data system. We send this to Part B, and we tell them, hey, we have this many 24-month-olds, this many 30-month-olds, and this is a very nice heads up. A lot of times we'll get a surge of referrals in a certain area. Maybe Help Me Grow has just expanded and they're covering an area. Maybe we've gotten an awesome pediatrician who gives a lot of referrals. Well, BabyNet doesn't know necessarily that those are coming sometimes, so we have to scurry and get more staff. But if we can give that heads up to Part B, we would love to do that and say, hey, this is how many kids we have, so they can start planning for all of the assessments and things that they'll need to do. And then the service coordinator has to send the transition referral sometime between 27 months and 33 months to the school district. And then the conference will happen before 2 years and 9 months. So this is so that everything will be ready to go when the child is 3 years old. They can walk in to the school on their birthday if they qualify and get their school services there. So that partnership is really big. There are a lot of guidelines set out for this, and it's really nice that IDEA did not just say, hey, y'all coordinate with your school districts. They have given very precise information. If you can show the next slide, it tells us exactly. So this is our policy that we have kind of just made a little bit more simple from the IDEA laws, and you can find this on our website. And it tells you exactly the time that everything needs to happen. And then if you go to the ECTA website, they have this, that's ECTA. They have a lot of really nice visuals to kind of show you all of this so that you can take it and actually know what you're doing. So if you'll show the next slide, and this is not, I'm not going to read all this to you, but this is basically, to me, this is like a Bible. So there's a lot of children who are referred. We can take referrals all the way up until the child turns 3. Well, of course, those timelines that I talked about have already passed by that point. So there's different requirements based on when the child is referred. I used to be an early interventionist, and then I became an intake coordinator before coming to the state level. And in every role I've ever had, this paper gets worn out, and I keep one for years and years and have to print it off. I go to this constantly because people are asking me questions. Hey, we got this child and their birthday is this day. Don't trust yourself. You just have to go look at this, and it tells you exactly what is required of Part C, what they have to do to send it on to Part B. So all that to say, we have it all lined out very nicely. Thank you to IDEA for giving us all of the resources and rules of what we have to follow. And then if you show the next slide, this shows the responsibilities of Part C versus the responsibilities of Part B. So you'll see it kind of switches from Part C is doing all the referring to Part B is really getting everything rolling for the child. So everyone is involved at the transition conference, and it can be honestly a very lovely time where you share everything that the child has done and all their progress, and then Part B says, okay, this is what we have to offer, and this is where we'll take over. And then as you go through, the early interventionist is welcome to come to the IEP meeting if the parent requests them. And I would say it seems to be about 50-50, at least in my experience. Some parents are like, oh my gosh, please don't leave me. I want you to come to the meeting. And then other parents are like, no, girl, I got this. See you later. And we're open to whichever way they'd like to do it. But that's basically how we send children on to Part B. They don't always qualify, but at least we're there to help them through to see what their next step may be. And it doesn't have to be to Part B. Of course, Part B is required. We have to send things in, but we can also do transition conferences with Head Starts if they're going there, and then we can do just local providers, whatever resources the child has in their community. And those are, just where we got some of this information from. Really, also the ECTA website, just ECTA, that will tell you everything you need to know, and they break it down so beautifully.
Heather, thank you so much. That was wonderfully explained, and we will send any questions that come your way and keep connected with you. Thank you so much. Now we are ready for Miss Amy Holbert. Are you there, Amy?
I am.
Wonderful.
Thank you so much for inviting me to give a little bit of information about Family Connection of South Carolina so that you all will know that we are a resource statewide for you. And we are also at no cost to any of your families for any of the services or trainings that we provide. So we are South Carolina's Parent to Parent USA, your Family Voices, and your Parent Training and Information Center, which is actually a designation under IDEA, and the funding comes from Part D, surprisingly. We are put in place, and we have states have a Parent Training and Information Center in each of the U.S. states and territories, and there are a few that have more than one, like Florida, Texas, California, just because of the large population of students that have the need for special education. Your Parent Training Information Center, we serve ages birth to 26, and that is a federal mandate. And our center has been in business now for 30 years. Let me see. Jenny, do you do the next slide or do I press it? Perfect. Sorry, everybody. So what do we do at Family Connection? Because each parent center in the United States might have a different type of service, but we provide a variety of different services for children and youth with disabilities, their families, work with professionals and other organizations. And our goals are to help parents participate and learn to participate effectively in their child's education and their child's development. And we do this in a variety of ways because we want to help encourage and show families and partners and provide them with that support to actually partner effectively with their child's educational system. And those of you that are doing such a good job in helping their children. So the snapshot of the families that we do serve in South Carolina at Family Connection, 48% of them are birth to 5. And I think that's pretty significant, with the average age being 5. On average, we serve about 3,200 individual families over 10,000 times. Last year, we offered 299 shops and trained 7,500 folks. And the top diagnoses of children that come to us in this age group, the birth to 5, they either have a diagnosis of autism or a developmental delay, and families call us for a variety of reasons, but usually parents find us themselves versus having a professional refer. 75% of them are calling because they just don't understand the services. And what makes us different than other service providers are that we are all of the folks that provide direct services are parents themselves. And we have walked in their shoes, and we're going to be able to help them provide a sense of connectedness and hope. Right. So some of the useful services that we have for supports, one of the most direct practice services for you all is our Education Partner Program. This is where you can refer, the family can refer, and we will attend a school meeting with the family. Let us help you if you have a family that maybe is having a difficult time understanding or transitioning from Part C to B. That's a very hard time for that family to really understand how the services are provided, why they might be different in Part B. And our goals with this program is really to help them increase their knowledge about systems that provide early intervention, special education or general education, to help increase the parents' skills and understanding and navigating the system, and to improve that parent and school partnership in their child's education by helping to increase that parent's self-confidence. Some resources on our website that you can use yourself or for families would be that we are contracted with BabyNet to provide their central directory, which is a responsibility under IDEA, and on our website and it has resources for the 0 to 5 population. We also have a virtual library for families and for professionals that easily you can reach out and connect with the School of Medicine's community librarian to do research, and parents use this resource. And we have an at no cost Child Find Ages and Stages link right there that you can have parents do at any time as long as they're in South Carolina, and we will then have one of our early childhood specialists follow up with those families. And these are some new resources that we have that if you are interested, they are parent guides and workbooks just for this age group. And Your Child's Journey Begins on the top right explains in parent-friendly way about the Part C services. The one under that is in purple explains the early transitions from Part C to B, and then a workbook, which is a guide for families where they can keep up with their evaluations, the names of the teachers and folks, and all of these are at no cost. I do have them in PDF file. They're on our website as well. However, I will let you know that they are several pages long, and so it is difficult. Some families cannot, the file gets to be too large to send over email. But if you would like some for your area, please just feel free to reach out and we can mail you some of these beautiful guides that are actually printed up in our office for you to disseminate. And briefly, I know you've already heard about text to read, but want you to know that we are updating that. That is being translated right now in Spanish for the upcoming year. So if you need to get in touch with us, please do. You can guide families to our 1-800 numbers in English or Spanish, or you yourself could make a referral online on our website at the referral tab. And again, thank you so much for letting me be part of this today.
Amy, thank you so much. We'll share those resources with everybody in the Edmodo community, and also everybody will have your information to reach out to your office. Thank you very much. Now we have Miss Carrie Conningizer coming. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Jenny. I'm really excited. I don't want to take up too much time. I know you've had a long virtual meeting today, but I will be talking about South Carolina Partnerships for Inclusion, affectionately known as SCIPI. And as you can see, our mission is to increase inclusive opportunities and school readiness for preschool children with IEPs. And we are guided by the Council for Exceptional Children Division for Early Childhood and NACY's Joint Position Statement on Inclusion, as well as the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the U.S. Department of Education's policy statement on inclusion of young children with disabilities in early childhood programs. And a little bit about our history. We started off as a grant that our principal investigator, Heather Googe, got back in 2015 from the SC Gateways Cradle to Career Grant. And we were known then as the South Carolina Preschool Inclusion Initiative. And out of that grant, we created what we have today, SCIPI. And then we've been doing this work under the South Carolina Department of Education, Office of Special Education Services, since October 2016. We have over 40 districts that we have worked with. So there are over 40 teams, preschool inclusion leadership teams across the state. We've had 6 different cohorts of teams, and we are always interested in welcoming more. Due to our current situation with COVID, things are a little bit different about how we work with our teams. But again, we are always interested in working with more districts. So a little bit about our programs and services. We host district leadership team strategic planning events. So we apply a leadership team framework of support for early childhood education specialists to help our LEAs. We talk to our districts about who should be on the teams. This is a variety of folks. It's definitely cross-sector. We need our special education experts as well as our general education early childhood experts, which also includes our friends at our local Head Start grantee locations and our community childcare. So we conduct these strategic planning events throughout the year. District Leadership Day is typically what we do to kind of induct new teams. And we also have DLD 2.0, which is our follow-up workshop that we provide in the spring. And these opportunities really support teams with learning more about evidence-based inclusive practices for early childhood, as well as the science behind successful teams, and really looking at backwards planning to create a 5-year strategic plan to really help increase inclusive opportunities. Our program uses a tiered technical assistance framework to help teams. So really, it's kind of, we can provide what you need, as little or as much support. And we host a plethora of workshops and webinars. We've done a lot of virtual workshops due to COVID as well, and I'll talk about that in a moment. You can go to the next slide, Jenny, sorry. Ooh, back one. So our website, and I will just drop that in the chat in a moment. You see it in front of you. You can check out anything that we've ever recorded. So that is there for you. We also now have a YouTube channel. So we've recorded lots of our trainings. We did a virtual summer camp training in July, which had, I think, about 8 sessions that were really targeted on what teachers and educators across the board were really saying that they needed during that time. And we also have a Facebook page, which you don't see it up there, but it is on our website now. So now our upcoming training, which is listed here. This is a training series on planning and executing tiered instruction for children with low incidence disabilities. And Dr. Jennifer Grisham, formerly Jennifer Grisham Brown, she is hosting this for us. And as part of this training package, we'll have 3 90-minute virtual sessions on planning and executing tiered instruction, specifically focusing on those Tier 3 supports to address the social, emotional, and communication skills of young children with low incidence disabilities. So we're thinking about children on the autism spectrum, children with developmental cognitive disabilities, traumatic brain injuries, blindness, visual impairments, deafness, hearing loss, or multiple disabilities. So this is meant to be a series, but we do understand that not everybody might, you might not all have that same availability. So if you are interested, like I said, I will drop that in the chat so you can look at that more information and you can register. But if you can't attend all 3 sessions live, it's just the understanding that you will watch a recording to attend the next one. And the one on January 8th is a little bit earlier in the day. It's actually at 9:30 to 11. And then Jenny's going to put up our contact information. I know this was kind of the quick and dirty, so if you have questions, if you want to learn more, you can call us, you can email us, you can check out more on our website. Thank you. I really appreciate just giving you a quick overview of South Carolina Partnerships for Inclusion.
Thank you so much, Carrie. Carrie can really help with that Indicator 6 effort, and she can facilitate some efficient teaming processes. So our Indicator 12, that's the C2B transition indicator, can really happen efficiently. Now, Heather Gooch, who works closely with Carrie, is going to speak a little bit about a few updates that she's got. Heather, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Wonderful.
So I just have very few things, and I feel like I'm the person that's, teasing the evening news. But part of the work of the preschool development grant that our state was awarded to support systems work for children birth through 5 is to provide some more professional development for administrators and teachers who are wanting to implement an itinerant teaching model in their districts. And so we are working closely with Jenny and with Skippy on that. We have content set, but it's sort of a more to come, but we are hoping to be able to put out more information about that January, February. So I'll make sure that Jenny gets the information to all of you so that you can spread the information to your schools, to your local school administrators, and some of your teachers. That work is starting. We're also going to be working with a higher education consortia around early childhood inclusion so that our early childhood teachers and early childhood special education teachers come out of school with some more in-depth knowledge and information about inclusion and how to support inclusion in general education settings. And then the last thing we're going to be doing with that work is working closely with Jenny and the state pyramid model leadership team to look at expanding program-wide implementation into some childcare programs and also putting together a community of practice of pyramid model trainers from across the state. So those are just a few updates for me. I don't really have much more. So I think we've made it back on track, Jenny. Did we make it back on track?
We have. Oh, I've never been so happy. Thank you for being so efficient with your time. Y'all, if if you have challenges and questions, Heather and Carrie are both brilliant and innovative at finding resources and navigating things. So we work closely together, and our partnerships are two directional. So they tell us what guidance they need, what clarity, and vice versa to support districts. So please do be sure to access their resources as you need and are able. Thank you so much for your time. And I will make sure that all of those items go in the Edmodo community for everyone to have. So thank you very much. Now, there is one or two more resources as we think about kindergarten readiness and third grade reading achievement. These things happen before preschool even sometimes. So there is a virtual toolkit to support young children who are deaf and hard of hearing. You can click on that link. You can visit and share today. That will support literacy and communication and behavior. So that's a resource I wanted to make sure y'all had. Now, I'm going to ask you a very brief question on the Mentimeter. If this becomes at all a challenge, we're not going to do it. But I would really like it if y'all could click on this link. I will put it in the chat for you and answer the two questions that are in there on the free Mentimeter survey. And I will stop sharing once I put this in the chat, and Lisa will close us out for the day.
Sounds good, Jenny. So if you all want to go ahead and click on that web address that Jenny is posting, are you putting that in the chat, Jenny?
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
I am. Right.
Then we can enter the Mentimeter, and then we'll quickly come back just for a couple reminders and to end our meeting. All right, Jenny's got it in the chat there. Go ahead and take a moment to enter that.
The two questions include a partner I plan to reach out to. This refers to an early childhood sector to potentially improve your Indicator 6 data, or a partner like Family Connections or Skippy or the Inclusion Collaborative to get some resources and build your early childhood infrastructure. So please go ahead and include that on the first question. The next question is, what do you need more information about? Was there anything unclear? Was there anything that was kind of a teaser that you'd like to have more detail? Because we did give you a very high-level overview. If you'd like more information, the early childhood team at OSIS can certainly help with that. So we'll just kind of get this information from y'all at your convenience, and then I think we'll get out on time.
And Jen, we have a couple of answers that are being posted in the chat there.
Oh, perfect. Okay, y'all, the last 5 minutes before lunch are a terrible time to have tech trouble. So if it's easier to go ahead and put it in the chat, please do that. And I will, I'm not sharing anymore, so I will do what I can do to make the Mentimeter work properly. Thank you very much. And Lisa, I think I'm all finished for the day. So thank you for your time. Lisa has a few closing.
Absolutely wonderful, Jenny. Thank you so much. All right, I see a few people are still going to that link and posting some comments. All right, hopefully everyone can see my screen. Just a few reminders. Quite a few questions With regards to whether this information will be uploaded in Edmodo, yes, everything will be. Presentation is currently there in the post. We will have an update of that presentation posted in the November NDLA folder, so that will be accessible to you. We will also include separately all those different contact links so that you can make your own contacts with those folks who might offer you some more support. And Jenny May is going to provide us access to those wonderful brochures that you had an opportunity to see as well. There is an evaluation that will follow within the next couple of days. Again, please answer that. One of the questions we'll be asking this time is similar to what Jenny May just asked, and that is, what else would you like to hear? What else do you need to support you in your first or second year as an administrator? As we have 3 more meetings to go, we want to try and cover as much of the information that you need in order to support a successful first, second year for you. Our next meeting is going to be Tuesday, December 8th, same time, 10 to 12. You will see the registration go out, followed by notification that the presentation is in Edmodo, as well as the link to the meeting. And our focus is going to be on academic outcomes. So again, more really good information from our focus teams and some other guests that we will bring in. As always, if you ever have any questions, you can post them in Edmodo. You can email Lisa. If you have any concerns, again, you don't have links, connections, please email me and I'll be sure that you get what you need. Thank you all for your time. Jenny, thank you to you and all of your wonderful guests. I think this was a very valuable meeting for such an important group of children and their educators. Thank you all for your participation. We enjoyed the conversation and we look forward to hearing from you and supporting you again. Have a good rest of your afternoon. Bye-bye.